Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. I'm Tommy Spina. I'm speaking today with Barry MATSON, Executive Director of the Alabama District Attorneys Association. So we were talking about this new bill that includes a markup on alcohol with those funds earmarked, not totally, but for the most part, for the District Attorneys Association. What does the District Attorneys Association need money for, independent of what they get through the budget from the legislature?
Well, a portion of the market will also go to the court system, and that's
$2 million.
I think 2.4. Which is,
can I just say
sure,
one
yeah,
thing? I'm not being a cynic, but I am a cynic. That's like throwing a thimble of water on a raging forest fire. $2 million in our court system.
And as is the six for the DAs. The funding and where we are right now with state agencies is completely upside down. The court system needs more money, and the DAs need more money. Law enforcement, ALEA need more money, and it's not just so we can buy new things and do new initiatives. It's so we can do our core constitutional duties and to protect the public. I mean, it's not like we're saying, well, we need this money so we can add people or so that we can deal with growth. It's about doing our oath. I mean, we're at that point. It's incredible. Now, Justice Stewart and Randy Helms, who's the director of AOC, they are the 2.4 is exactly, it brings them at level. They were cut that much. It brings them back to level. They need much more than that, obviously.
Now, when you use AOC, I need to explain, that's Administrative Office of Courts.
Yeah, that's
then,
right.
Of course, ALEA is what used to be the Department of Public Safety.
That's right.
And
that's
now
right.
they
Thank
call
you.
themselves something else.
That's correct. And Justice Stewart, they at AOC, it's kind of like OPS, the state part, which I do for the DAs. And but they certainly need more. You're exactly right. But this small initiative through ABC with 6 for the DAs and 2.4 for the courts is not enough, but it will be so meaningful and incredible for the DAs if this were to happen. We're unlike anybody else, Tommy, even the courts or anybody else in the state. It costs $95 million to operate all the DA's offices in Alabama.
That's for assistants' salaries, staffing salaries, investigator salaries.
That's everything in 67 counties, in Alabama.
Does that include any victim compensation, or is that a whole separate?
Well, it's victim assistance, domestic violence assistance, all those type things. There are roughly 17,000 lawyers in Alabama. There are over 80,000 felonies a year in this state. There are over 15,000 APOST certified police officers. That's the agency that certifies and lets them have arrest powers. There are only about 320 full and part-time prosecutors in Alabama for all those 80,000 felonies. We've gotten down to a point where it's not really about public safety. I mentioned earlier that our oath is to seek justice. It's not about getting the bad guy. We've got to catch the bad guy. It's about discerning and screening warrants and making decisions that protect people from being charged when they shouldn't be charged. I mean, we're the gatekeeper. A friend of mine used to say we're the choke point in the hourglass. Everything comes to the DA's office. You know that.
Well, you have all the discretion as well.
We do. And when your finger's in the dam of over 80,000 felonies a year, and there's 320 of you, that's pretty frightening. And that's what we've gotten down to. I said $95 million to run DAs. How much do you think the state gives us to run the DAs?
I don't know.
$26 million. They say go find the rest. Where are we going to find it? Well, we'll give you a court cost bill. It's rarely ordered. If you're in a county and there's no highway and there's not business, it doesn't do anything for you. So it's sparse effect at best. And then they passed a bail bond bill a few years ago. Exactly, and we'll do this. We'll put a fee on a bail bond, and that'll plug the cuts. Physical note was going to be $7-8 million. Well, there was a lawsuit for the first year or two. There wasn't any money coming in. That's pretty much resolved, but there's some money coming in. But it's about a third to half of the physical note, and now there's lawsuits and threats to municipalities not to put people under bond, to do personal recognizance bonds where there's no bond. So there's about 80 municipalities that have said, we're not going to collect bond anymore. Well, there goes that fee. So what happens is the DAs have an IV in this arm that of the general fund where we're funded. That's the 26. In 2008, we were at nearly 40 million. We've gone from 40 million to 29 to 26 million, and so that's being pinched off, that IV. In this arm, its risk has been cut. For years, the DAs were heavily funded, and we weren't down at the legislature much asking for funding through the worthless check procedure. It was
Nobody writes checks anymore.
Nobody writes checks anymore. And that was a thing in the DA's offices, which helped small businesses. You know, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, the number one reason small business went under was bad checks. And so the DAs collected those fees, processed that, and funded our offices on those. So that's gone. The bail bond fee, all those things where they say, go get the money, go get 70 million somehow, they're drying up. Federal grants are, going away. They're hard. Earmarks out of Congress are gone. And so if we were funded, fully by the legislature, which would be great, every agency is funded fully. They may be cut from that fully funded. We're cut from not fully funded. That's the thing that's so painful for us is when you cut the DAs, we're at 26 million. Well, half of that, or some part of that, is DA and supernumerary DA salaries. Well, they're constitutional officers. You can't cut a elected official's salary during their term. So when they cut us 10%, we have to take that aside and apply it to the remaining 13 million. What makes that 10% cut 20%? And that's all salaries. We don't buy a pencil with general fund money. And so a cut to us is double. We're different than anybody else. We have an immense responsibility, and it's one that and sometimes we're our own worst enemy, and it's because we'll show up for court. We just
got to be there.
I got to be there.
I hold that thought. I want to go back to what I believe to be putting a tax on the people that can least afford to pay it, and talk about some prison reform in just a minute. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Don't go away.